Hello, guys. Welcome back to African Stories with Nsa. Hope you're all doing well. If you're not around here, please do well to subscribe to our channel. Also, don't forget to like and share our videos so other people can get to know about us. If you've done that, let's get right into today's story. Today's story is titled The Bridge. Akamong village was a very small village where the major occupation of its people was fishing. This is because Akamang was a riverine area and that was the major source of income of the village. They sold their seafood products to other communities who were not blessed with the sea to fish from. The other occupation was hunting and farming, while others engaged in raffia and jewelry making. You had no reason to be idle or lazy in Akamong village. The people were hardworking and everyone flourished. As Akamong was surrounded by water, its people worshipped the deity of River Akamong, who they believed was a woman because of how temperamental the river could be. The village of Akamong suffered violent storms, which would flood the village and farmlands, causing a loss of lives, properties, and food crops. And at other times, the sea would dry up and the fishermen would catch nothing in their nets, even after toiling for the whole day. And people would go missing when they went to the river to wash clothes or fetch water. When these events happened, the people would believe they had done something to anger the river goddess, and the village seer would make sacrifices to the goddess on behalf of the people of Akamon. At other times, though, the people enjoyed periods where they thrived. The river would be safe, and the fishermen would come back with their nets full and almost bursting. The farmers would come back with enough harvest, and the hunters' traps would be filled with animals. You see, the lives of the people of Akamong revolved around the river. They paid their allegiance to the river and the goddess, and would protect it at any cost. Even though most people had never seen the goddess, some fishermen and hunters who worked at night swore that they had seen her, and all agreed that it was a scary sight. They said her face could not be seen, and she had several heads. So the people lived in fear of this picture that had been ingrained in their minds. After some time, foreigners arrived in big ships and anchored in Akamong village. They came bearing gifts for the people and met with the elders of the village. They told them about a new religion and that there was only one God. The elders did not agree with them because, as far as they were concerned, there was only one goddess, the goddess of Akamong River. They told the foreigners about the great and terrible things that the goddess could do. The foreigners laughed at them and insisted that there was only one God and that their goddess was powerless where the God they talked about was involved. The people were curious, and so they listened. They even attended the gatherings where the foreigners taught people about this God. Then they told them that they had come to better their lives and open their eyes to more knowledge through education. They encouraged them to bring their children to their newly built school to get educated. These did not go down well with the elders. Who will help us in our farms? When will the children have time to help their mothers with cooking and fetching water from the streams if they spend their time in school? Do you want our children to become lazy and turn their backs on us? What other knowledge is better than knowing how to work with our hands? The questions and complaints were unending, and the foreigners were persistent. Some were convinced and began to send their male children to the school. In their opinion, Female children needed to stay at home and learn how to do house chores. That was all they needed to learn anyway, so they could be good wives to their husbands. The foreigners were not going to win on this one. After some time, another set of foreigners arrived and told the elders that they needed to build a bridge to link Akamon with other communities. The village's only means of transportation from Akamon to other communities was by boats. They were promised that as soon as the bridge was completed, they would be able to walk across the bridge easily. The elders opposed it and told them that they were happy to travel by boat, and it was not a good idea to build a bridge over the river Akamon, where the river goddess lived. The foreigners were unrelenting. They did not believe in the river deity and managed to convince some of the elders and villagers to be on their side. They no longer had a united front, and so the engineers started work on the bridge. They brought in their equipment and materials for building, and construction started. They worked day and night. It had to be completed when the weather was still dry. It was just a couple of months before the rainy season was due to start, so they were racing against time. At first, everything was going well and the work was going at the estimated rate. But after some time, things started to happen. On some days, the engineers would resume work and their work tools would go missing or their equipment would suddenly stop working. At other times, some of the engineers would mysteriously disappear, never to be found. The foreigners started to ask questions. Those elders who were not in support of building the bridge started to say to them, "I told you so." They told them that they had incurred the wrath of the river goddess and that she was not going to stop until she got them all. But the engineers didn't listen. The foreigners were stubborn. As men went missing, they brought more engineers to continue the work. When tools went missing, they bought new ones. And when the equipment would suddenly stop working, they would order for new ones and commence work immediately after it arrived. There was no stopping them. So work continued until it was almost at the completion stage. Then one day, the engineers were hard at work trying to put finishing touches on the bridge when suddenly the sky turned dark. Lightning flashed and a loud thunder struck. The whole village was in a frenzy. Mothers ran to get their children who were playing outside. Those who were out of the house started to run helter-skelter to try and make their way back home. A strong wind was blowing, and construction workers at the site where the bridge was being built had to stop work. They were holding onto pillars to avoid falling into the water. There were sounds of people screaming out of fear and pain as the trees were falling and the waves had become very violent. The wind was so strong that the tools and work equipment started to fall into the raging river, pushing some of the workmen as well. But that was not all. Like something out of a bad dream, a scary looking creature emerged from the river, pushing against the bridge, which collapsed into the water. She was the goddess of Akamon River. She was so huge and towered over the tall trees, such that she could be seen by people who were not close by. And the people of Akamon could finally see the long-feared goddess who tormented their village. That was how the bridge that the foreigners had worked on day and night for several months was destroyed within the space of an hour. The next day, the villagers woke up to the aftermath of the destruction. The elders of the village had gone early in the morning to inspect the damage. There were cries coming from different compounds. The bodies of loved ones and carcasses of animals had been found littered around different parts of the village. Trees had fallen and houses had been destroyed. Majority of the elders who objected to the construction of the bridge couldn't wait to tell the foreigners, "I told you so." It was indeed a solemn day in the village. Everyone was busy tidying up the mess from the previous day and mourning their loss. The bridge was never completed, and to this day, people are wary of the river. The story of what happened is still being told in Akamong village. It has been said that when people mysteriously go missing, it is the goddess that has taken them as a sacrifice. That is the end of today's story. I hope you enjoyed it. Please do well to like this story, subscribe if you haven't already, and share to others who you think might enjoy stories like this. Until I come your way next time, bye.